Hello, I will explain the first category of sustainable cities called smart location is the first category. The first one is not built in a high risk area. For example, there's landslides. For example, if many cities or towns are built very close to the mountain, and some mountains could have the risk of a landslide after the heavy rain. Other high-risk areas are fault lines. For example, they have high risk of earthquake or hurricanes, typhoons, or other tropical storms. So here's a bad example. In America, in the Southeast, many people want to live by the ocean, but this area frequently gets hit by tornadoes, and they have to rebuild the houses again and again. So we shouldn't build houses in this kind of area where there's a threat of hurricanes. Here's a map, especially the dark red areas are very high risk for hurricanes, but these are very popular places to live because it's tropical warm weather and there's the ocean view. But this is not sustainable to develop cities in this area. Some cities that are here are New Orleans and Miami. Okay, so here's New Orleans and Miami area. Okay, the second one is conservation management of natural habitat. In other words, they didn't destroy the nature or an environmentally sensitive area. So if the new development is destroying a forest, especially, this is very terrible for the environment. So new developments hopefully will be on former developments or just kind of empty land. However, there's many bad examples where they develop housing far away from the city and they cut down forest or destroy farmland to build these neighborhoods. Next one is housing proximity. Proximity means closeness. So housing proximity means the houses are close to the downtown and close to regional businesses, employment, or schools. So this example is a little bit far. So they have to spend lots of energy to get to downtown. Okay, so according to research, this is New York City. Okay, the central area is Manhattan. So this shows how much CO2 is used by the average resident in New York City. And the closer they are to downtown Manhattan, they use far less CO2 because they don't need to use transportation. They don't need to drive, or if they use transportation, they can use public transportation like the subway. So the closer you are to the city, the better it is for the environment because they use and burn less CO2. Okay, here's another bad example. These homes are built far away from schools. You have to drive everywhere, and this will use a lot of energy because you have to drive to school, you have to drive to work, you have to drive to the doctor, you have to drive to go shopping. Everything must require a long drive. Okay. Recently, I saw on CNN, they talk about an eco village. Okay, but I don't think this is an eco village at all. They say, oh, this is an eco village because they use solar panels and they have some other energy saving devices. However, this was built very, very far from downtown. So this requires a 15-kilometer drive to downtown Denver. And there's no public transportation. There's no trains, there's no buses because it's very far from downtown. So although CNN and many people say this is an eco village, actually this is terrible for the environment because people must drive long distances. So again, close to businesses, close to downtown, close to schools is smart location. The next one is access to surrounding neighborhoods, nature, and parks. Okay, here's another bad example. This is a gated community. So there's only one entrance to the community and there's a gate. So only people who live here can access here. So this makes it difficult to access the surrounding neighborhoods. People do this because they think it's safe, but actually it's not sustainable in terms of interaction and traveling around. So here's another bad example. These houses are surrounded by desert, and there's only one way of getting in and out of the town. And of course, there's no shops or businesses or schools here. You must drive, but there's no access to anything. Here's another bad example. They built huge highways through the city, especially sadly in America, they destroyed many African-American neighborhoods, and they built large freeways. That means people who live over here can't come over here. There's no way to travel to this neighborhood. So this is a bad example because the neighborhood is cut off from other areas because of the huge expressway. Another example is access to local agriculture, water, and energy. Here's a very bad example because they lack water and food. Okay, it must be shipped very, very far away to survive here. So because they ship food and many resources from far away, they use lots of energy and CO2. This is Dubai, the tallest building in the world, Dubai. Okay, here's another bad example. We're building many developments in America in the sunny areas, California, Arizona, Texas. However, this is very terrible because these areas are going to run out of water. By 2050, these dark areas have very, very high risk of running out of water. However, unfortunately, this is where people are moving and they want to live here. This is not a good idea. It's not sustainable to develop new areas and new cities and new neighborhoods in these areas. Okay, so now let's evaluate Tsushima. So please imagine a 15-minute walk from campus. Okay, and evaluate based on these 5 criteria. So here's the satellite image. Okay, here's an image near the mountain. Okay, here's again the campus, Asahi River. Here's the way downtown. So please evaluate the Tsushima area. Okay, so click on the form and you will continue and go to the next page on the form and evaluate Tsushima.